Welcome, everybody. My name is Catherine Prentice. I'm an accredited master coach. I'm the first accredited master coach in Bulgaria and one of the first in Eastern Europe. And Brian Prentice and I are the managing directors for Noble Manhattan Coach Training Division in Bulgaria, Macedonia, Greece, and the rest of the Balkan region, Albania. For me, January is a very important month because in 2010, I believe actually it was also the 15th, if I'm not mistaken, but there was an introduction to coaching event live in Romania, in Bucharest, where I met Gerard for the first time. It was organized via the Romanian HR club. So that's how we got the invitation and we attended for the first time. At the time, however, it was a full day event and it was on location, a few hundred people, I think it was, if you remember, Gerard. Yeah, it was a big one. And right after that, we also had a second event with Gerard, which was called Business Building Day. At that time, I remember meeting Noble Manhattan and hearing Gerard's presentation, and I sort of instantly fell in love with his concept of coaching, and somehow the values totally coincided, and that set a new path for me and Brian. I registered on the Practitioner Coach Diploma within a month, and so 2010 was also my first residential, where I met the rest of the amazing trainers that Noble Manhattan has, like Cherry Mullins and Diane McClanahan and Aya Egberg and Gerard and many others. And an amazing new journey started. So today, so in the first part of today, we will have Gerard share with you current trends about coaching, including a perspective of where coaching is right now in this very interesting part of history that we all live. You would agree that the world has changed incredibly over the past 2 years. And we are a part of an industry that has an amazing power to impact lives and businesses and the world around us for the good and for the better. So that will be the subject of the first part of today's workshop. And in the second part, I will teach you the coaching model, which Gerard taught me actually on that very first introduction to coaching event so many years ago. And we hope that you will enjoy both the theoretical view and perspective on coaching, as well as the practical experience. And we hope that this will set a wonderful new start for everybody as we enter this new exciting 2022. Today we have attendees from Albania, Bulgaria, Croatia, Cyprus, Germany, India, North Macedonia, Poland, Romania, Uganda, United Arab Emirates, and the United States. This is truly spanning the globe. But it's amazing how, even though we're from so many nationalities and time zones and continents, yet we can be united under the banner of coaching. Gerard, who is he? Gerard Donovan is the founder of the longest existing coach training company in Europe, Noble Manhattan Coaching, which has won the reputation of the most caring company, as well as has won numerous international awards for being the best company for life, executive, and corporate coaching. So Gerard is an accredited fellow coach and has impacted the face of coaching through his love and care and input, and the fact that Noble Manhattan has trained over close to 29,000 coaches around the globe. So thank you, Gerard, for being our speaker today. We're honored to have you, and I'm happy to pass the mic to you.
Thank you very much, Catherine. Well, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. It's lovely to see you, and those of you who show your camera, it's really lovely to see you. I will honor your time, and the purpose of today is to try and give value, to try and give you information, to try and give you an overview and an understanding of the world of coaching. So today, in the short time we have together, I will cover what is life coaching, executive coaching, team coaching, the differences between coaching, counseling, therapy, training, mentoring. I'll talk about how do you train as a coach. We'll talk about how does a coach engage with their client? What does that relationship look like? If you're interested, and I know that none of you are interested in money, but if you are, I'll cover a little bit about how much does a coach earn in the world today, and I'll give you examples of different countries. And we'll talk a little bit about the past, the present, the future coaching, where is it going, the trends, and so on. As well as that, I will try and answer any and all questions that you have. So please feel free to engage. All I would ask is, while we're talking, keep yourself muted. But if you want to ask a question, unmute yourself, put your hand up, shout out, speak up. Today is for you. It's for you to get as much value as possible. So I'll cover all of that. We'll have a short 10-minute coffee break. And then Catherine, as she said, will teach you a new and very exciting and very, very effective coaching model called the coaching circle. Okay. So again, if you're fairly new to Zoom, on the top right-hand corner of the Zoom screen, you'll see a word called view. And you have an option of gallery view, where you see everyone in small pictures, or speaker view, and whoever is speaking, they appear a bit bigger and you see them a bit more. So I just share that. Now, before I begin and talk about the concept of coaching and the fundamentals, what I would like to do is give you, if it's okay with you, a 5 to 10 minute overview of Noble Manhattan, our worldwide organization. Now, I'm going to be using a number of figures today, statistics. Most of them come from an organization called PwC. I'm not sure if you've come across PricewaterhouseCoopers. They do a survey every year, have done for about 8 years, on the world of coaching. And you can go to their website in America, download it. It's a 150-page document. Every January, it comes out giving an overview of the world of coaching. So there are, right now, ladies and gentlemen, approximately 900 coach training companies in the world. So all over the planet, 900. Noble Manhattan, we are in the top 3 in terms of size, geography, revenue, students, and so on. But the other interesting thing, and what I would ask is, please keep yourself muted, just to value and honor everyone. If you have dogs, children, radios, televisions in the background, we can all hear it, just to make you aware of that. So what is interesting is right now, today, coaching is the second fastest growing industry in the world. Number 2, second fastest growing industry. And that's at a time of pandemic and COVID and lockdowns and restrictions and people having an enormously difficult time in their lives. The second fastest. Would anyone like to hazard a guess as to what the number 1 is, the fastest growing industry? You can either shout out or type it and whatever.
Production of PCR tests or antigen tests.
Yeah, you're probably right, actually. Yeah, it could very well be, Tony.
We should definitely add this to the list.
Yeah, we're in the wrong industry, Tony. We should be. Well, according to PwC, it's actually the IT industry, technology, both hardware and software. They're both rising like a volcano.
But Gerard, sorry to jump in, but I was going to give that answer. Ingram Micro is the world's largest distributor of technology. So we had the best year in 42 years last year. So
oh my goodness.
I echo what you said. The supply chain issues mean that we've got backlogs going back 12 months, but that's technology for you.
My goodness. So there you go. The voice of truth speaks up. That the check will be in the post, Tony. Thank you. Okay, what I'd like to do, ladies and gentlemen, before I now get into coaching, I want to give you a whistle-stop tour of our organization, Noble Manhattan, because we have a completely different shape to every other coach training company in the world. Now, I want to be very open and honest with you. There is a problem in the world of coaching, right? Coaches, whether they are life coaches, executive coaches, team coaches, corporate coaches, are lovely people. They genuinely are the most wonderful, lovely people you could meet. They are loving, they are caring, they are compassionate. And when it comes to coaching, they usually do a very, very good job. But the one thing that many, not all of course, but many of them are not that good at is reaching out into the world and getting their own clients, getting their business, marketing, and so on. So a number of years ago, we at Noble Manhattan started to put in place a number of initiatives to help our students build, grow, and attract clients and make a good living. These initiatives over time have now grown to become huge divisions in their own right. And I'm now I'm going to do it very quickly to honor your time and your commitment. I'm now going to show you some of these divisions. And as we speak, I'm hoping that you can now see one of my screens. I've got 2 or 3 different computer screens here in front of me. So if I look away, I'm not ignoring you. What you can see now is our main Noble Manhattan worldwide website. Okay, here's our first division. We own a magazine called International Coaching News. Now, before I go any further, you don't have to not write anything down. When we finish, Brian and Catherine will send an email to everyone today or tomorrow. We will give you everything I will show you today, PowerPoints, Word documents, PDFs, we'll send them all to you. We will also send you a list of all of these websites and everything I cover, so you don't have to worry about missing anything. So we own International Coaching News. It's the largest magazine in the coaching world. We now have a readership of 101,000 people worldwide, which is a significant figure. We employ full-time on a salary, managing directors, editors, graphics designers, coders, programmers, but we make the magazine available completely free of charge. We do not charge a penny for it. And we allow all of our people in Noble Manhattan, students, coaches, and so on, to write for the magazine if they want. They can submit articles, case studies, white papers, press releases, and etc., interviews, and we will publish them. How much do we charge? 0. And we do this in order to help raise our people's brand, image, and help them to attract clients. In the coaching world, we use the word coachee, but I'll use clients today. So we own the International Coaching News. We own a division called Coaching Support. Coaching Support has got physical meetings that take place in dozens of cities all around the world. These are physical meetings. They happen one evening in a month, about 7 p.m. People come together. We do a lecture, a talk, a workshop maybe, masterminds, network, study buddy groups. These are open to everyone. They don't have to be a Noble Manhattan person at all. Local managers, single moms, anyone from the community, teachers, nurses, come together in a place of motivation with like-minded people. You can see in my drop-down list where we have them. I'll show that we have them in the Middle East. In the Middle East, we have Lebanon, Jordan, Egypt, Turkey, UAE, and Saudi. I'll just pick Beirut because we have someone here today at the meeting from Lebanon. I'm guessing Beirut, but I could be wrong there. And our coaching support group in Beirut is run by the magnificent lady, Pauline, and a team of 6 wonderful officers. So we create these free of charge for people to come and meet, network, build, grow a home for coaches to come together once a month all over the world.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Maybe this is a good time to also mention to everybody that actually on the 19th, just in 4 days from now, we have an additional meeting, which we haven't announced really, but since we're talking on the subject, we have a meeting where Gerard will be having exclusive webinar for people who are interested to be a part of this division and find out how you can also do something similar in the location where you are in.
Lovely, absolutely. Maybe when we email people, we could drop that information in.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, I've just seen we have. I'm so pleased we have Sumita with us today. Sumita is our coaching support group president in Noida, near Delhi, in northern India. So lovely to have you, Sumita. Thank you for joining, giving up your time.
Thank you very much, Gerard. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
For you, it's evening time, family time. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So coaching support groups, we have that. Then we have the world's largest register of coaches. It's called Coach Finder. Coach Finder is a listing, a register, where we charge people who are outside of Noble Manhattan over £200 to have a lifetime listing. For everyone within Noble Manhattan, it is free. And it's to help clients find you.
Promoting Coach Finder.
Thank you for muting. So clients can search by either type of coaching, look, life coaching, expat coaching, relocation coaching, mentoring, addiction coaching. We've got dozens and dozens of categories. Or they can search by map, and it started showing there where I live in the south of England. And you can see we have thousands. I think we have about 17,000 people registered worldwide. Or they can search by the listing, go to people's individual profile, and everyone has their own lovely profile. And they're allowed to upload resume, audios, videos, everything about themselves to help their future clients find them. How much do we charge our people? Zero. We own Noble Coaches. Now, Noble Coaches is very unique. To my knowledge, there is no one doing this. Now, I could be wrong, but we actually find clients for people. We go out as a company, we go to the corporate world, the larger companies. If you understand my words, we pitch for business. We negotiate a contract. It could be team coaching, executive coaching, leadership development, management development. And then we give that work to some of the men and women that have trained with us. And we split the revenue 50-50. And here are some of our clients, some names that may resonate with you. I'm just trying to open it up now. Airbus, a very big European manufacturer, Bank of Scotland, BCR, Bank Commercial Romania, Citibank, that was in America, Coca-Cola, a company you might all have heard of, LOT Polish Airlines, Nikkei, Nokia, Pepsi Cola, Santander Bank, Raiffeisen, a big Austrian bank. So we go out, we find the business, we negotiate, we give it to the people that have trained with us. How much do we charge? Zero. In fact, we split the revenue with them. Then we have coaching tools. This is not for everyone. This is for our students and coaches who need a little bit of IT help. If they need help, we will set up websites for them, what we call landing pages, blog pages. We'll set up their social media, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, Instagram, Pinterest, Twitter, Gab, Parler. Many of these dozens of social networking. We'll do SEO work and so on. We own a radio station, ladies and gentlemen. The only coach training company in the world to do that. It's called Coach Radio. Great name. You wouldn't get that today. We bought it 15 years ago. And we allow all of our people to have their own monthly radio show in their own language. We're broadcasting in 12 languages.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talk Money Show. This is the show where we talk about money.
This is Agnesia. She's one of our coaches from Johannesburg in South Africa. And we've done a deal with a company called iTunes. Probably heard of it, most of you. And all of our shows appear on iTunes within 24 hours and on Stitcher. Stitcher is a podcasting platform, and they remain there forever. And this is something we allow all of our students and coaches to do to help raise their brand, their profile. I'm nearly getting to the end, you'll be pleased to know. Get Coaching Leads is where we will set up for people, I don't know if you understand my language here, but lead generation pages, data capture, sales pages, and so on, where people have downloadable reports. We do data capturing to help people build their database. And finally, we have a division called the Alpha Group. Now, this is very specialized. It's in 30 countries. It only works with the owners of SMEs. So they have to be the owner, not an employed managing director, only the owner of SMEs up to about $40 million worth, from $500,000 to $40 million revenue. And we make them one simple promise, that we will double the value of their business in 2 to 3 years. We've been going 9 years. We have never failed. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is a whistle-stop tour of Noble Manhattan. We have our coach training school in the middle with over a dozen separate courses, everything from a one-day introduction up to a PhD. We do that in partnership with Canterbury University. And then around about, like a buffet, we have a whole host of services to help our men and women, our students, our coaches, to build their business. So I wanted to share that with you before I get into the coaching. So now let me show you my, I'll show you a PowerPoint. Here we go. And again, I'm hoping you can see my PowerPoint. I'm guessing you probably can. You can give me a nod or a thumbs up if that's the case. So, right. So here we go. Noble Manhattan. Welcome. Oh yeah, this is just some basic figures about us. Established in '93. We've been training coaches since the mid-90s. We've trained, in fact, the figure should be, I haven't updated this. It's nearly 29,000, and we're in 29 countries around the world. And we have about 400 people working in the organization in all different roles and capacities. So that's a brief overview of who we are. Okay, so now let's come to coaching. Whether it is life coaching, whether it is team coaching, whether it is executive coaching, whether it is corporate coaching, none of that matters. There are 3 main pillars of coaching, main foundations that I would like to go through with you. But before I do that, look at the top one, where it says 90% of coaching is delivered at a distance. Now that's not true anymore. This was true before the pandemic. This is before COVID. 90% of individual coaching was being delivered at a distance using programs like Hangouts, Teams, Zoom, Skype, telephone, and so on. Now, according to PricewaterhouseCoopers, it's about 98%. Now, I love this. I love it to bits, because it means that you and I, as coaches, we can do something that most people in the world cannot do. We can live where we want to live, not where we have to live. Most people live where their work is. In fact, more than that, many people will travel and move house and go from one town to live in another town because that's where the work is. In coaching, it's the opposite. You can live where you want to live and build your business around it. I'll give you an example. As well as running Noble Manhattan Coaching, I am a coach. I'm a coach. I have clients. One of my clients is called Celia. Celia lives in La Jolla, near San Diego, in California. We coach at 8 a.m. in the morning, her time, which is 4 p.m. in the morning, my time. 8 o'clock in the morning for her, 4 o'clock in the afternoon for me. We've been coaching on and off for about 5 years. I've never met Sylvia. I meet her on Zoom, but never physically. I have a lady called Gosia in the city of Gdansk, in the north of Poland, senior executive with a big IT company. Wonderful, incredible individual. We've been coaching for about 18 months. I've never met Gosia. I have Joseph in Singapore. We coach on Zoom. I live in a small town called Weymouth. Right now, I'm in my office at home. This is my office and it's my home. And I live in a small town near the beach on the south coast of England. I don't live in London, and it shows that you can build an international business no matter where you live. You don't need to live in a big capital city. You don't need to be anywhere in particular, as long as you have, you know, some sort of phone, a laptop, and an internet connection. You can build a worldwide business as a professional coach. And I love that. I love it so much. So that's not one of the foundations of coaching, but it's important. I wanted to share. Okay, so now let's look at the 3 pillars of coaching. Number 1, coaches are non-judgmental. What does that mean? It means that to a good coach, it should not matter one tiny little bit who your client is. It should not matter if your client is young or old, rich or poor, a man or a woman. It should not matter the belief system and religion that they follow or the color of their skin. None of that should matter. A good coach should be totally and utterly non-judgmental. Now, having said that, the truth is we are all judgmental, whether we like it or not. You and I, we grew up in a family and we got influenced. We went to school, we got influenced. Today, you watch certain television programs, we get influenced. You have friends you meet for a coffee and we get influenced. So in actual fact, you and I, all of us, have a huge weight of judgment sitting on our shoulders. When you train to be a coach, one of the things you learn is how to be, we use the expression, clear of judgments when you are with a client. It's a bit like my jacket that I'm wearing, taking your judgments off like a jacket and putting it to one side. So when you are with your client, you are completely clear of judgments. And when the coaching is over, if you really want to, you can take your judgments and put them all back on again, if you want. But something weird, something strange happens. The more you do it, the more you become it. The more you practice being caring, compassionate, and accepting, the more you as a human being become that. And personally, I think that's a great thing. But then that's my judgment. So even that is a judgment. So difficult to get away from these things. So you need to have within you a willingness to learn how to be non-judgmental. Now, I travel an awful lot, meeting our teams all around the world, which I love very much. And I get asked questions, people ask questions. And there's a common question. People say, what do you need? What skills or knowledge do you need to be a great coach? And there are actually 2 answers. There is the official answer and the truth. And the official answer is, well, you know, to be a great coach, you need to be very skilled in questioning skills, listening skills, values, ethics, beliefs, self-esteem, building rapport, goal planning, goal setting, so many more. But that's not the truth. The truth is you need one thing. You actually need to love working with people. You need to love people. If you love people, we can teach you all the stuff. We can teach you techniques and coaching models and questioning skills and listening skills but we can't teach you to love people. So really, what do you need to be a great coach? You need to love working with people. If you don't, you know, be a lawyer, something like that. So, sorry, I hope there's no lawyers in the audience. So all coaches are non-judgmental. Next, coaches are non-directional. Non-directional. What does that mean? It means that there are certain words a coach would never use. Words like must, have to, ought to, should. There are no shoulds in coaching. We do not point fingers. We do not tell people what to do. Now, is there anything wrong in being directional? No, of course not. You know, if we were doing this, all of us together in a hotel room, and the fire alarm bells went off, and one of you stood up and said, everyone, be silent, listen to me, do exactly what I tell you, and I will lead you out of here safely. You know, if that happened, I would be right behind you. I would not want to call a meeting to discuss it. So there are times in life when it is acceptable to be directional. But coaching is non-directional. So it's very important to understand that slight difference, non-directional. And sometimes if you've come from a background of management consultancy or accountancy or teaching or therapy, sometimes it's a little bit difficult mind shift to get into the new space of being non-directional instead of directional. But it's easily done with practice. And finally, we come to the fourth pillar of coaching. But it's not the fourth, it's the number one, numero uno. And it's this: coaches have no answer. We have no answer. And this comes from something that Einstein said in the 1930s. And let's see if I can remember. I never read from notes. What did he say? He said, in order to solve the problems that we currently face in life, we must access a higher level of intelligence than that which we used to originally create the problem. Let me say that one more time. In order to solve the problems that we currently face in life, we must access a higher level of intelligence than that which we used to originally create the problem. Now, there's two messages in his statement. And I'll be honest, I think the first one is quite negative. The first message, he is saying that you and I, whatever we find ourselves in life, whatever position, that we've actually created it. Now, if you find yourself in a position which is causing you distress and pain and hurt, you don't really want someone coming up to you and saying, well, it's all your fault. You know, you want someone to show you love and empathy and compassion. But is he right? Is he right? Do we actually create our own lives? In coaching, we use a phrase. We say, we manifest our own reality. And is he right? Well, yes, he is. He is absolutely right. Whether we like it, whether we don't, whether it resonates, whether it doesn't, whether it's comfortable, whether it's not, yes, that is correct. We do manifest our own reality. Now, how do we do that? Well, today, I don't want to frighten you all away, and I don't want to get overcomplicated and talk about quantum physics, but yet that's very relevant. I don't want to talk about the power of thought, vibration, and frequency, yet that is very relevant. I don't want to talk about holographic universes, yet that is very relevant. I don't want to talk about electromagnetism, yet that is very relevant. What I will simply talk about is decisions. Our lives are created by the tens of thousands of decisions we have made, and the ones we continue to make day after day after day. That decision to have that alcoholic drink or not. That decision to have that cigarette or not. That decision to lie in bed or get up early. That decision to watch television for another 3 hours or go for a walk in the fresh air. That decision when you're walking down the main street and you feel hungry and you go left into McDonald's or you turn right into something more life-enhancing, like, I don't know, I can't think of a name of a big chain, but a juice bar, salad bar, something. These are the decisions you and I make day by day by day, and they create our life. And I love that. I tell you right now, I love it to bits, because it means you and I are in charge. And I are in the driving seat. You and I can start making different decisions right now and almost immediately start to experience different outcomes and different results. There's an old saying, if it's to be, it's up to me. You know, and see, we live in a funny world. We live in a strange world where right now, and now, by the way, more than ever, we see a wave sweeping the world of what I call transference of responsibility. People are giving responsibility away for their own well-being, their own mental health, their own thoughts, their own feelings. You know, they're saying to people, I have a problem, here's some money, now you fix me. We call it transference of responsibility, and we see it all over the world. And the truth is, there is no knight in shining armor riding over the hill to save us. If it's to be, it's up to me. And again, I love it because you and I can make immediate changes to our thinking, our feelings, our thoughts, and therefore our actions, and therefore our outcomes. So the first message in Einstein's statement was, you and I create our reality. The second message, how do I explain this to you? Here we are, 20 of us online together. I don't know you, most of you. I don't know you, you don't know me. Maybe we'll meet in the future, maybe we won't. Who knows? Who knows? So I don't know you. But I do know an awful lot about you. Number one, I know that you are human beings. And as human beings, you have within you the most amazing power. You have a strength. You have a magnificent, you have a power that you can barely believe. In fact, you have an inner light that shines that is out of this world. And I use that phrase very deliberately. You have an inner light that shines that is out of this world. If you only came to a true understanding of who you are, what you are, your power, your strength, your magnificence, my goodness, it would shock you in a nice way, right to your core. Most people have no idea how magnificent they really are and what they are capable of doing. But that's only half of it. That's as a human being. You are also a spiritual being. And as a spiritual being, you have within you an omnipower and omnipresence, and you have access to almost every resource you could ever need to help you deal with any challenge, any problem that life throws at you. You also have access to every resource you could ever need to help you to set and achieve any goal in life that you want. This I know with a deep and profound sense of knowing. The problem is, no one teaches us this. When we're little babies and children, no one sits us down, teaches us about the incredible power we have, how to access that power within, and how to direct it outwards. So many of us go through all of our lives without realizing the abilities we truly have. And that's a real shame. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what coaches do. This is why coaching is one of the fastest growing industries in the world today. This is why coaching changes people's lives for the better in every country, in every language, in every culture. Coaching, and this is just my belief, my feeling, I believe the universe always creates what it needs at a time that it needs it. And I think coaching is something whose time has come because it is needed more than ever. So how does a coach do that? Well, a coach will use many tools, methods, techniques, models to help their client reach deep within themselves to find an answer that is right for them. There are countless coaching. Let's see if I can find. I'm just going to get a book from my bookshelf. This is by one of our lovely colleagues, Laura. It's called, I'm not saying you buy this, this is not a sales thing. It's called Toolful Coach. Wonderful thing. And it says here, 150 useful coaching tools and models. So there are many, many coaching tools and models that a good coach would use to help with their clients. Let me show you just some basic ones. I'm going to use a whiteboard. I'm going to use a digital pen. It's not a real pen. So forgive me, I'm drawing on a screen and it doesn't allow you to draw very well. So I'll share my screen again. So, for example, let's see, one of the tools that we would do with our clients is called the Wheel of Life. And many of you will have come across this, so forgive me. The Wheel of Life is where we take our life, we divide it into many different areas in no particular order. We have our health. I'm drawing on a very movable screen here. Health, career, money. By the way, money is not the same as career. A lot of people join them together. They're very different. The people you love, this is your very close family that are important in your life. Your intellect, what is that? What you know, your knowledge, your what are you learning? Then we have your physicality. You know, what are you doing? What are you growing? And are you improving? That's a big part of your life. You have your community. And part of that is fun and socializing and friends. This again, a very important part of our lives. And my favorite, spiritual. And there's more. There's about 20 areas of our life. Here's just 8. A good coach would work with their client, helping them, first of all, to identify challenge, issues, problems within these areas and deal with them, and then help them to set and achieve goals in these areas, but in a balanced and a holistic way. Why is that? Well, again, there's no point in helping someone to become a multi-millionaire if they have a heart attack and they die on the way. That seems a little counterproductive to me. This is my stuff coming out here, but please forgive me that. There seems no point in helping someone become a multi-millionaire if they lose everything they love in their life. So we help the client to do it in what we call a balanced and a holistic way. This is just one of the many, many tools that a coach would use with their clients. Later, when I've finished with you today, we'll have a short 10-minute coffee break. Catherine is going to teach you another tool called the coaching circle, which I created a number of years ago. You may be interested to know the difference between counseling and therapy on the one hand, and professional coaching on the other. So if I look at now, past, future. Okay. Now, there are many therapies, so I'm being general here. Forgive me for this. There are about 50 therapies. There's Gestalt, transactional analysis, occupational therapy, cognitive behavior. And some of them are magnificent. They are just wonderful. However, many therapies will take a client into the past to deal with an issue, a trauma, a problem, help them get over that so that they can move nicely into the future. And that's fine. Coaching does not do that. Coaching starts from the here and now. Now, we do teach things like timeline therapy. We do teach things like where beliefs come from, where they're seated, what has created our deep-seated positive and negative and disempowering beliefs. But generally, we start from here and now and we move into the future, helping to create a compelling future. Yeah. And in fact, if you're not careful, moving into the past can be very, very dangerous dangerous. There's an old saying, where attention goes, energy flows. Has anyone ever heard of that saying? Where your attention goes, your energy flows. Everything in the world is energy. I won't get into quantum physics right now, but everything is energy. When you give energy to something, what does it do? It grows. And if you are focusing your attention on something that is traumatic, something that you don't want, something that causes you pain, and you focus your attention on it, where attention goes, energy flows, there is a danger. It will grow in your life. This is why lots of people who keep saying, they use language, they say things like, I've never been lucky, our family, we're never lucky, we've always been poor, what can you expect? Guess what? You get more of what you focus on. So this is something that coaches do, and the big difference, in fact, let me show you. I've created, and we're going to send you this document, so you don't have to write it down. I've created a document with about 80 or 100 differences between what we call conventional therapy and personal coaching. And conventional therapy trends towards personal strengthening. Coaching is personal evolution. Therapy is triage. Coaching is visioning. Therapy is issue resolution. Coaching is problem solving. Therapy is why me, why this. Coaching is what's next, what's now. Therapy is unconscious to conscious level. Coaching is conscious to a higher conscious level. I won't take you through anymore. We will send you the document and you can look at that in your own time. So going back to coaching, there's a couple of definitions of coaching. This is one. Coaching is about performing at your best through the individual and private assistance of someone who will challenge, stimulate, and guide you to keep growing. That's a short definition, and it comes from this Word document that I created many years ago, which is a more in-depth definition. The first two lines in bold are what I have just read out to you, and I'll just read one more paragraph. Essentially, it is about helping you to reach self-actualization, a point at which you not only truly know yourself, but within this knowledge, possess a feeling of comfort with and understanding of the person you discover. Now, we're going to send you this Word document, so again, you'll have it all. You don't have to worry about writing anything down. So coaching is unique. Coaching is non-judgmental, non-directional, and we, the coach, don't have the answer. We help the client to reach deep down within themselves and come up with the answer that is right and true and appropriate for them. And that is one of the very, very unique things about coaching. Very unique. Okay. What I'd like to do now is, and I'll show you some websites. A lot of people don't understand, even people who are qualified coaches, they've been in the industry for a while, they don't always understand the shape of their own industry. So what I'd like is to take a few minutes and show you the shape of the coaching industry, because it is relevant. If you're thinking of getting involved, it's a good thing to know. So using my little sliding digital pen, at the bottom, we have coaches. So all over the world, how many coaches are there? Do we have any idea at all? Would anyone like to shout out or type in the chat? And it doesn't matter, you can't be wrong, it's just a guess. Would anyone like to hazard a guess as to how many coaches there are on the planet? Qualified coaches, this is, properly trained. No one wants to speak to me. You're all very shy today. That's okay. I deal with rejection very well, just so you know that. Okay. There are, again, according to PricewaterhouseCoopers and some of their, something in the region of 350,000. So these are men and women who have engaged in what we would call an official, recognized coach training program. Now, if you go onto LinkedIn or Facebook, my goodness, you look at people, you think almost everyone is a coach. Because so many people call themselves coaches when in fact they really are not. And we'll come to that. We'll see what the answer to that is in a second. But there's about 350K. Now, is that a little or is it a lot? Well, I live in the United Kingdom. Here in the United Kingdom, there are 400,000 registered therapists. Now, we know it because legally they have to be registered on a national database. So 400,000 just in the United Kingdom. In America, the USA, there is 1.2 million registered therapists. Again, they have to be registered on a database. So in the whole world, there's 350,000 coaches. Actually, it's not many at all. When you spread it out. And coaching, there is now such a need for coaches. In fact, some of the large corporations, and I'm digressing, forgive me, Coca-Cola, Google, Pepsi-Cola, Procter & Gamble, Dell, others that come to mind, are desperately seeking external executive coaches to bring in on contracts, and they're having difficulty finding them. So there's not enough good quality, qualified people out there to fill many of the roles. But here we go, we have coaches. Above that, we have training companies. How many? Well, about 900. It keeps changing. Each year it goes up a bit, down a bit, up a bit, down a bit, but about 900. Noble Manhattan, we are in that category. We are one of the, we're in the top 3 actually, but forgetting that, we are one of these coach training companies. Above that, this is now where we start to get very interesting. Above that, we have membership organizations. How many? About 50. Some names, some of you here will recognize. Lovely big American one called the ICF, one called the AOC, one called the EMCC, European Mentoring and Coaching Council, the ICC, and so on. These are all privately owned membership organizations. They're not actually authorized by any government or any education department, but sometimes being a coach can be lonely. Being part of an organization is good. They keep you in touch. They'll webinars and newsletters, and you get online resource areas. So it's really good. And some of these are wonderful. We work as an organization actually with this company quite a lot, the ICF. They're very good. Above that, you have a small group called Official Accreditation. Bodies, I won't write bodies. And there's about 9. About 9. One I'm guessing you'll have heard of, called Stanford University in in the USA, very well-known Ivy League. There's one called the ILM, Institute for Leadership and Management. They're in 130 countries worldwide. The IAPC and M, International Authority for Professional Coaching and Mentoring. And there's some others, about 9. And then above that, at the top of the tree, you have a final organization called the IRCM, International Regulator for Coaching and Mentoring. Okay, so what does all this mean? Okay, these organizations and these organizations, moving on, and these organizations are commercial bodies. They all charge something for their services, and they either have students or mentors or something along those lines. So they have a duty of care. They have a loyalty to their members or their students. And that makes sense. These people are paying them either for a course or an annual fee. These people do not. How much do they charge to be a member? 0. And who is their loyalty towards? A completely different group of people. It's the public, the clients, the men and women who buy coaching. So they are there to protect and look after the clients, the customers of coaching. Does everyone understand that quite significant difference? So they fulfill the role, you may have come across this word before, of ombudsman. Most industries have the energy industry, the pharmaceutical industry, the telecoms industry, the agricultural industry. These all are big industries, and they have an ombudsman appointed by the government. So if you have a complaint about any company in the industry, you can go to the ombudsman. And this is what the IRCM do, International Regulator for Coaching and Mentoring. So again, if people are out there calling themselves coaches, but they really aren't, they haven't done a proper official qualification, and they haven't been accredited by any of these bodies, then they are in danger of being brought to the attention of the international regulator. And personally, I think that's rather a good thing in order to keep the standards and the quality of coaching at a given level. So I wanted to share that with you. We, as an organization, we being Noble Manhattan, are accredited by the International Authority for Professional Coaching and Mentoring. We are accredited by the City and Guilds ILM. That's in over 100 countries worldwide. These are government-backed organizations, government approved. We are accredited by the ICF, International Coaching Federation. We are accredited by, I'll come back to that, the Institute of Leadership and Management. Anyone who does our courses not only gets a coaching qualification, they also get an international management and leadership qualification at the same time. And we are accredited by one of only 7 companies in the world, the international regulator. We are recognized, I should say, not accredited, we are recognized by them as one of only half a dozen companies that train coaches in the world. So I wanted to share that with you because it's very relevant. More than happy to take any questions at this point, if anyone has any about what we've covered. If anyone needs clarification, please put you have the ability on Zoom to put your hand up. You can do that. So, and Catherine and Brian will keep their eye on the chat box for me. So if anything appears there that I need to address. Okay. So let me talk a little bit about who trains to be a coach and some income examples. So we have There are right now, and it keeps changing, about 54 different coaching niches, coaching types. So if you train to be a professional coach, you could market yourself, and it really is a marketing thing. You don't have to do any more training. You could market yourself as a life coach, executive coach, career coach, goal coach, wedding coach, divorce coach, confidence coach, expat coach, cultural coach. There's many. It's mainly a marketing thing. But I'm just, for the purpose of this, I'm going to divide things into 2 or 3 categories: life coaching, executive coaching, and corporate coaching. I'll give you examples. So life coaching is where a coach would work with a client on a one-to-one personal basis. One-to-one personal basis, and private and personal. The average session, and it varies a little bit, but it's about 60 minutes. So the average, I'll just put LC, the average life coaching session between a coach and a client, one-to-one, about 1 hour. How much do coaches charge for that? Well, again, it varies. So I'll give you an example of the United Kingdom. I'll give you America, and I'll give you Eastern Europe. And you can work out sort of where you might lie within that. In the United Kingdom, a brand new coach, so brand new, straight out of training, just got their qualification, for a 1 hour live coaching session would charge in the region of £75. In the USA, it would be in the region of $100 US. So some are a little bit below, some are a bit above. So I'm giving you a guideline here. Now, we see something interesting happen. Oh, in Eastern Europe, it would be euros. It would be between 40 and 45. We see something interesting happen when someone has been a coach for about 10 or 12 months. They have been dealing with a number of clients. They've been working with a number of people. They're beginning to get testimonials and recommendations. They're feeling good about themselves. Their confidence rises and their competence rises. And about the 1 year point, we see the same coaches generally increase their prices a little bit. And in the UK, they'd go from 75 to between 100 and 110 pounds. In America, they would go up to between 125 and $140. And in Eastern Europe, it would go from 40 to something like 70 euros per session. This is after someone has been doing it about a year. On the executive, oh, and by the way, who pays this? It's generally the client, the individual. If we then look at executive coaching, it's quite different. Executive coaching is where, again, the coach will work with an individual, a middle level manager or a senior level manager within a corporation. 90% of the time, it is paid for by the corporation. And executive coaches, their charges right now across the whole of Europe and America, and I'm going to use pounds in England because that's where I'm living, so you can convert it yourselves, range from as little as £150 per session up to £1,000 per session. And with executive coaching, we see that the average session is usually around 2 hours. Again, give or take 10%. These people here would be brand new, freshly qualified, straight out of training executive coaches. These would be the master coaches. They've been doing it for quite a while. They have a reputation. They have existing client banks. They're well established, well known in the marketplace. So executive coaching would be somewhere along these lines. Then we have what we call corporate coaching. And corporate coaching is slightly different. Now, with life coaching, with executive coaching, generally the coach charges, and this is not, I'll explain, they charge on an hourly rate. Now, actually, we recommend you never do an hourly rate. We recommend you do a program of coaching, but it would be based on so many hours over a period of time. You know, when I do executive coaching, it's usually based on 8 sessions over 6 months. So an initial getting to know you, setting the ground rules, setting the foundations, understanding the values, understanding what goals, then 6 sessions at the rate of 1 a month for 6 months, and then a final 8th session, a review. Where were we? Where are we? What have we achieved? And so on. That's a typical executive or life coaching scenario. We use the expression a program, but it's based on so many hours. Okay. Corporate coaching is usually based on what we call a day rate. And it's where the corporate coach would go into an organization, and either for a whole day or for half a day, and they might engage in a number of activities. There might be some one-to-one executive coaching taking place. There could quite frequently be some team coaching taking place. And there might be an element of lecturing and training and working workshops, shall we say, workshops with some of the groups of managers and individuals. So a corporate coach, in my experience, and I've done this with many companies, you might have 2 or 3 activities throughout a day. And a corporate coach would generally charge a day rate. And right now, around the world, the rates go from a low of £500. And by the way, I have to tell you, that would be considered rock bottom, right up to £3,000 per day. So a day rate. And a lot of coaches will wear all 3 of those hats. They will do life coaching, they will do executive coaching, and they will also do corporate, team, and group work. Who becomes a coach? Who becomes a coach? On the life coaching side, we find that it is 65% women and 35% men. On the executive coaching side, we find it's 50% women and 50% men. And in my experience, and I've worked with thousands of coaches since the mid-90s, and I hopefully we're not recording this, so you can't hold me to this, but I think the women make far better coaches than men. Far better. And people will probably shoot me for this, but I feel that they are able to empathize far better with their clients in many, many cases. Not always, but far better. So life coaching, 65%, 35% women and men. Executive coaching, team coaching, about half and half. Who trains to be a coach? A lot of managers and companies, especially a lot of HR managers. Right now, in the world of human relations, HR, within corporations, it's almost expected that they have a coaching qualification. Almost expected, especially if they want to get promotion up the ranks. As individuals, we get a huge amount of teachers, counselors, therapists, management consultants, a huge amount, because they find having a coaching qualification increases their ability to do more with clients, have more clients, earn more. So management consultants, counselors, therapists, corporate trainers, NLP practitioners, teachers, carers. These type of people make up a large proportion of the people who actually train. Going back to the cost, in Bulgaria, if I checked the other day, paying for a PCR test is about 45 euros. And that's what a new coach would charge for their service. And people have no problem paying for a PCR test generally. So coaching is becoming very, very accessible to people all over the world. We now see it's becoming part of daily life. Some very experienced athletes, as well as having a sports performance coach, now say that they also have a life coach to help them build, grow, expand, create, and develop. So, before I go on and talk about training as a coach, does anyone have any questions? Anything they'd like me to cover in a bit more detail? Feel free at any time to just put your hand up or shout out. Okay. So, let me talk to you about training to be a coach, and I'll talk about one of our courses because that's what I know it well. We have our flagship program is called the PCD, Practitioner Coach Diploma. Now, already that makes a difference. 98% of all coach training companies in the world, when they deliver training and you qualify, you receive a certificate. In the world of education, you have 3 levels. You have certificate, above that you have diploma, and above that you have a degree at either a university or a college. Ours is not as high as a degree, but it is significantly higher than a certificate. Our flagship program is approximately 400 hours of training, lectures, coaching, classroom, mentoring, and so on. It will qualify someone to be both a professional life coach and executive coach and team coach. So there's never any reason to do any other training at all. It is designed for people who are working full-time or looking after a family full-time. It takes the average person 10 to 12 months to work their way through the program. The average person, and I know that no one is average, but the average person would do either 6 hours a week or 7 hours a week or 8 hours a week. Now, you can compress it or expand it. If someone wants to go faster, they could put more time in and they could shorten the time it takes to do the program. Or if they have a lot going on in their lives, they can spread it out. They can take 12 months, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. When people get pregnant and they have a baby or they move house or they move job, we allow people to put it on hold, to pause it for many months and then come back to it. So it's very, very flexible. It is accredited by the ICF, ILM, City and Guilds, IAPC and M, International Authority for Professional Coaching and Mentoring, and recognized by the IRCM. There is no coach training program in the world that has as many recognitions. So when someone registers, no matter where they are on the planet, they could be in Alaska or Cape Town, they could be in Siberia or Beijing. We will send all of the material to them by private courier within 48 hours. So they will receive a box with course book, manuals, training manual, handbook, logs, in fact, everything. There is never a requirement ever to purchase anything else. We provide everything. the student then engages in a certain amount of reading and study and writing, and they submit 5 pieces of written work. Now, the average essay is 1,000 words. What is 1,000 words? Okay, 1 page of what we call A4, like I'm holding up now, 1 page is about 500 words. So 1,000 words is 2 pages, front and back. So not huge, not War and Peace. Every student is given a private tutor. We use the word mentor. These are all senior coaches with over 500 hours of coaching under their belt. And they work with the student on a one-to-one private personal basis for many months. And they're a bit like a driving instructor. You know, you have a driving instructor, and every time they meet, the student will coach the mentor, like they will be their client. And when that finishes, the mentor will then give them guidance, feedback, advice, tips, techniques, and training to help them get better, better, better all the time. When the mentor feels they are ready, they will put them forward for their final assessment. That's an oral coaching exam with a master coach. And all of our master coaches have about 2,000 hours of coaching under their belt. So they have the research and written part of the course. They have their mentoring. These are all happening at the same time in parallel. Then they have webinars. Every month in the evening, we deliver a number of webinars. These are training webinars on coaching topics. They're usually about 6 p.m. or 7 p.m. in the evening in all the different countries. We do them at multiple times on topics like questioning skills, listening skills, values, ethics, beliefs, self-esteem, building rapport, and so on. And we're doing them in 8 languages right now. So we deliver all of our training in Romanian, Bulgarian, Turkish, Serbian, Spanish, Polish, English. We're working on Russian right now, and we should be in Russian by the middle of this year. Oh, Arabic, we deliver in Arabic as well. So in 8 languages now, working on 9 and maybe 10 by the end of the year. So whatever language you are accustomed to, we are probably delivering the course in that language. Then all of the students are engaged in study buddy groups. These are groups of 5 students. So we set you up with 4 other students, and you meet every week in your own language on Zoom for 30 minutes. And you do coaching practice, you help each other with written work, and you act as a support mechanism. So we have the writing and research, the webinars, the mentoring, private tutoring. We have the study buddy groups all happening in parallel. And then we have the physical get-togethers. And there are 9 physical classroom days on this particular course. A block of 4, and then 5 1 individual days. A block of 4 together, usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, usually. Not always, because of religious concerns. Sometimes we do them on a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, but generally Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. And then each month for 5 months, 1 day. We have training centers all over the world. Right now, because of COVID, we're doing these on Zoom. When the COVID goes, when the world goes back to normal, then we may go back to all of our training centers. I'll show you in a minute where many of them are. So all of this makes up what we call the Practitioner Coach Diploma. I think I have some slides that show it much better than my writing. Oh yeah, so a combination of learning styles, reading, research, home study, webinar. Now you and I, all of us as human beings, have got different learning modalities, we use the word, but different learning styles. Some of us are visual. You can see by I'm very visual. I like to use my hands and draw. So some of us are visual. Some are auditory. We like to learn by listening. And some are kinesthetic. We like to put our hands on and learn by doing things and physically building things. We have designed our program so that it is suitable for people no matter what your learning modality, all of them. We have about a dozen completely separate modules within the course. Every module with a textbook on it, with exercises, with examples, with practice coaching, and with webinars, all coming together. We have modules on communication skills, questioning, listening, values, ethics, building self-esteem, many, many, many different subjects. As I mentioned, when people register, no matter where they are in the world, we will send the material by private courier to them, so they get it within a couple of days. Now, if you see the words written in red on my screen, as part of the program, we do live webinars each month, many of them, 2 or 3 every month for every student. These are live. You can log into Zoom, you can engage with your tutor, you can talk to them, you can download all the handouts. We have a very sophisticated online learning management system, very up to date and cutting edge. So you'll be logged into that, you can access everything. But if you can't make it, if you can't make 6 or 7 p.m. of an evening because your family are having their meal at that time and time for the children, that's okay. We record every single lecture we've ever done. And we've been doing this for 20 years. And we literally have thousands of hours of recorded lectures. And you can access those the minute you register on the course. And when you finish the course, when you're done, dusted, finished, you have your qualification, we allow you to carry on accessing the live webinars for the rest of your life free of charge. We allow you to carry on accessing our library of webinars, lectures, trainings, resources, documents, books, PDFs for the rest of your life free of charge. We never charge you another penny to support you for the rest of your life as a coach. Again, that makes us a little bit different to many other organizations out there. I mentioned study buddy groups. You'll be put into groups of 5 people, you and 4 others. You will also do coaching. During the course, you will you will clock up 60 hours of coaching in your log. And where you live, hopefully, there will be a physical, local, what we call coaching support group. A local group that you can physically go to one evening every month, meet our local support group president, listen to a lecture, a talk, a workshop, meet other people, do practice coaching, study buddy groups, and so on. So a very, very detailed program. The second, what we call the physical part, is a 4-day experiential, and then 5 one-days at the rate of 1 a month. When we do our classroom, we do it with groups of 20 to 25 students and about 8 staff. 8 to 20. That's our ratio. So for every 20 students, we'll have about 8 staff, because we want to give you a huge amount of personal attention during those 4 days. There are many companies that will run a training course with 20, 25 people with 1 member of staff, 1 trainer. I'm not saying that's wrong. It's not our way. Here are some of our training centers around the world. Now, as I speak to you now, because of COVID, we're not using these. We're doing it on Zoom. When COVID goes, then hopefully we'll go back to using some of these and maybe do a hybrid, probably a hybrid system. This is our training center in the United Kingdom, near the town of Oxford, just a little place. just a little bijou training center we have. We have two in Romania, one in Bucharest, the capital, and one in a place called Pradal in the mountains. It's gorgeous. This is in the Hotel Jasmine, just sitting above Sofia on the mountain, looking out over the beautiful city of Sofia. I've probably done 15 or 20 courses at least, maybe far more, in this gorgeous hotel. And at night time, you can sit in the restaurant and look over the lights of the city. It's just gorgeous place. This is in Serotsk, by the lake, just outside Warsaw. We own this. This is always very popular. This is our training center in Antalya, in Turkey. We got 3 swimming pools and saunas and hammams and steam rooms, all part of the package, no extra cost. Oh, did I mention, when you come to these, you don't pay for the accommodation, you don't pay for the food. We cover all of that. It is all part of the package. This is our place in Florida, in West Palm Beach. Always another very popular place for students to go. And so we always use places that are not in the middle of a city, not some big concrete. They're outside with a beautiful feeling, nature, a lovely place, up to date, with wonderful bedrooms. Everyone gets a double bedroom, en suite, all part of the package. It's all built into the price. We do not ask you to pay extra for that. We provide it. Again, we are the only coach training company in the world that provide the accommodation and food as part of the package. And the obvious question everyone will ask is, well, what's the investment? Now, because we are trading in 29 countries around the world, the cost of delivery is different. Now, you will all be aware of this. You can go to Geneva in Switzerland and you pay 6 or 7 euros for a small cup of coffee. You can go to Bucharest in Romania and get the same coffee, in fact, even better, for 1 euro. Because the cost of logistics and salaries and all that is less. So our prices vary per country. But let me tell you this. If you look at some of the, they use the expression called the Premier League. There are about 6 coach training companies in the Premier League. We're one of them, CTI, Ericsson, the Fielding Institute, Georgetown University, and so on. Those charge about $12,000 to $13,000 for their course. They do not provide food, they do not provide accommodation, none of that. Their courses are about 200 to 250 hours. We provide accommodation and food. We provide 400 hours of training, and our courses are on average, half the price of theirs. So I'm just sharing that with you, but they do vary per country. So whoever invited you here, talk to them, they'll share immediately with you their fees. But I want to point out 2 very important points, and this is crucial. I want you to listen. We do 2 things that no other company does. Look at my screen. You'll see a word called bursary, second from the bottom. A bursary is a scholarship. Like any good university, we give scholarships to every single student. Everyone, no matter who you are, will be entitled to a scholarship. Now, if you are in a good job with a high salary and doing well, you might simply get 50 or 100 euros or dollars. If you are a single mother looking after children on your own, you might get $1,000 or $1,500 or euros. And we have a form. We simply send it to you, a Word document. You fill it in, you tell us what's going on in your life. We put it in front of our professional bursary committee, and they make a decision. This is not a loan. This is money we give you that never, ever has to be paid back. So it comes off the price of your course, making the course even lower in price than I just mentioned. So even though we're lower than all of our competitors, about half, when you get a bursary, it reduces it even more. The other thing, and everyone gets a bursary. The other thing we do, which no one does, like any good university, we give APL, Accreditation for Prior Learning. What does that mean? It means that if you have got knowledge or experience or qualifications in a similar area, we do not feel it is ethical and morally right to charge you money for something you already know. So the word is exemptions. We give you exemptions. We send you a Word document, and in the Word document, we break our course down into all of its modular parts. We put an explanation beside each, and there's a cost beside each, cost of delivery. And we ask you, what have you done that is equivalent? And you fill it in. And we put that in front of our professional exemptions team, and they make a decision. And if you have done something, we have about 140 categories where you will get exemptions from part of the course. And every time you get an exemption from part of the course, it means two things. It reduces the work you have to do on the course, and obviously it reduces the cost of the course. So if you have done HR, if you've done NLP, if you've done counseling, if you've done therapy, if you've been in a job where you've had to manage others, then we ask you either to scan a certificate, let us know your job role, we get a testimonial from a previous manager. We have many ways where we can evidence, or you can evidence, what you've done. And again, you can find out what scholarship you would get without committing to the program at all. You can find out what bursary or what exemptions you would get without committing to the program. So it makes sense to ask, and who knows what you'll get. And then whatever the figure works out at, we then allow people to pay over an extended period of time. We don't expect people to have to come up with that right up front. So they can pay that over many, many, many months. Okay. So I hope that was rather clear. It's an important area. The finances are obviously very important to people. So if you have any more questions about those, speak up, shout out, put them in the chat box, and I will deal with them. Oh, and Yulia has raised her hand. Okay, Yulia, do you want to unmute yourself and we can chat?
Yes, sure. This sounds very nice, very interesting. Well done for all the things you're doing. I just had a question regarding what kind of educational background is, let's say, the best one or a good one to start off regarding coaching. It doesn't matter what kind of coaching, just like,
yeah.
Thank you.
Now that's a good question. Thank you. I'd forgotten to cover that. A lot of people get a little worried, and normally this is about two things. One, will I be able to engage in the training? Will I be able to cope with it? And then the other is, when I finish the training, will I be able to engage with clients in a meaningful way? So I'll deal with the first one. We don't have a requirement for education. So we don't say, for example, you have to have achieved this level or that exams. As long as someone is able to read comprehensively, and with our help, and by the way, we give a lot of help, they feel that they can write a number of short 1,000-word essays, and we will provide you, like any good college, we will provide you with examples of previous students' essays to show you how they've laid them out. We'll provide you with the research work, the reference work, but as long as you feel you could, and there's no time limit, you could create a couple of 1,000-word essays, which is 2 pages, then you will be at the right or appropriate educational level to deal with the program. Did that answer your question, Yulia?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you. So I'm just looking at the time. I'm sort of coming up towards the end of my little session in a second. let me talk to you, if it's okay. I hope I don't scare you all away. I'd like to cover a little 5-minute section that I call spiritual coaching. And it's really about, what do coaches do? How do coaches help and work and make a change in people's lives? So let's talk about life. So self-awareness. Who am I? What am I good? What am I get bad points? What turns me on? What turns me off? Nearly 4,000 years ago, there was a word written above a door in ancient Greece. The word was called Gnosti, K-N-O-S-T-I. And it simply means know thyself, know yourself. And this was a message to all humans 4,000 years ago, and very important. And it was true for us 4,000 years ago, 3,000, 2,000, 1,000 today, and always will. It's very important to know yourself. You see, today we live in a world where we are being influenced, hugely influenced, by social media, by television, by newspapers, by Hollywood, by magazines, and people are being forced to think they should look a certain way, they should act a certain way, they should have, small waists and big chests and everything. And it makes people feel bad if they don't conform to the image. And coaching helps people to get truly in touch with one of the most important things in coaching, which is values. It helps us to get in touch with our true core values, to know exactly who we are, to feel comfortable with who we are, and to realize what is truly important to us in life. And when you do that, everything changes for you. Everything changes. The way you make decisions, the way you interact with people, the way you engage, the way you look at the world. When you're coming from a compass based on your true core values, it changes you in an incredible positive way. Next, being vision and value-led. Spiritually intelligent people want to serve something larger than themselves. I'll give you 2 extreme examples, right? Bill Gates, Mother Teresa. One of those had a vision to put a computer on the desk of everyone in the world. Another had a vision to feed starving children in Calcutta. Both very different visions, both good in their own way. Spiritually intelligent people have a vision of who they feel or would like to be, what they'd like to see, to be, to have, to achieve, and to leave a legacy. Coaching helps us to be that person, to leave a legacy for others, our family, our community, and so on. The capacity to face adversity, use it constructively, to own my weakness, to learn from my mistakes. The word here is guilt. We all do it. Every one of us, at times in our lives, we experience guilt. It comes unexpectedly. You're not expecting it. A song comes on the radio. It takes you back to something years ago that you feel guilty for. What's the purpose of guilt? You see, the purpose of guilt is to help us to learn, to help us to grow. So it's important, ladies and gentlemen, to learn from the past, to take from the past, and invest that knowledge in the future so that our future can be a better and more compelling one. What we should not do, however, is constantly relive the past. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of people do, constantly reliving the past, instead of learning from the past and investing the knowledge in your future. And I have a phrase, I say, for me, the past is another country, and I don't live there anymore. And the other thing I say a lot is, I am looking forward to the future so much. And the reason is, I'm going to be spending the rest of my life there. so it makes sense to make it a good one. And there is only one person on this planet who absolutely can make my future a good one. Other people can influence it, but only one is in charge, and that's me. And that is the same for you. So, being holistic, seeing the connection between all things. You know, if people only knew the connection between all human beings, you could not for one moment think of hurting another person. And yet, if you look at the world today, there are groups of people all over the world trying to hurt other groups of people all over the world. In coaching, we have a word. We call it a disconnect. There's a huge disconnect out there. Well, coaching helps us to become truly connected. First of all, becoming connected to yourself and loving yourself. And I mean that in the proper way, not a narcissistic way. Loving yourself, and I guess the word would be accepting yourself, and then loving those people and accepting those around you. So coaching helps us to become truly connected. The ability to refrain from things. We live in a world now where we're totally caught up with stuff all the time. We're getting caught up in social media, in iPhones, in smartphones, in television, in reality television, in you name it. And it's taking us away from who we truly are. And coaching helps us to focus back on ourselves and what is really important. There's a couple of fundamentals in coaching: harmlessness and compassion. The first rule of coaching, numero uno, number one, is do no harm. And the second rule is show compassion for everyone. You know, sometimes people say horrible things. They do horrible things. You and I have got no idea what is going on in their lives. We have no idea what's happening in the background, what terrible stresses they are under, financial problems, health problems, relationship problems. You know, people do stuff sometimes. It's important to show compassion to everyone. Coaching teaches us this. Tolerance and the celebration of diversity. You see, the person who is different from me is my teacher, not the person who's the same. And coaching helps us to understand, to embrace. It helps us to embrace differences, not to push them away. Field independence. Coaching gives us the courage, and this is a huge thing. It gives us the courage to stand up for ourselves, to stand up for our principles, even when people are pointing fingers. Coaching helps us to stand up and say, no, I will not accept this, whatever that might be. That's not easy at all. I'm nearly at the end. The ability and willingness to ask questions, to be concerned about the why of things. We did this, you and I, all of us, when we were children. We constantly asked why? Sometimes 5, 6 times in a row. Why this? Why that? Why? And we stopped. And we reached a point in our lives, ladies and gentlemen, where we made a decision, consciously or unconsciously, that in life it's easier to get along with people if we simply go along. And we stopped asking questions. And I'm suggesting we should go back to asking questions. Another definition of a coach is a master questionnaire, a master of the question. In fact, there's a concept in coaching that we teach called intense curiosity, one of our subjects, intense curiosity, having a magnificent curiosity about everything and everyone. And finally, spontaneity, flexibility, freedom, the passion to be, to know, to play, to be free, the quality of living in the moment. This is what coaching and coaches do with and for our clients. This is why coaching is remarkable. This is why coaching is changing lives. This is why coaching is needed. And this in my opinion, is why coaching is now the second fastest growing industry the world has ever seen. It is something whose time has come. And I'll finish off by sharing this with you, and something I put together a while ago. I believe, and this is my stuff, that people in life, all of us human beings, we need three things. We need attention. Why? To honor our deep-seated need for significance. You and I, we are all significant. And it is okay to want every now and again a little bit of attention focused in on you. It's okay. And yet we live in a world that does not encourage it at all. Number two, we need appreciation. Why? To honor our deep-seated need for worthiness. We are all worthy. You know, appreciation is so important. If you do something at work, you know, imagine if you do something small, doesn't matter, something, and early in the morning, and one of the senior managers came along and said, "Did you do that?" And you say, "Yes, I did." And then they say, wow, that is so good. I am so pleased. I am so impressed. Well done. You know, if that happens, you would feel good all day. And yet we live in a world where we are not encouraged to show appreciation to each other all the time. We as coaches, when we are with our clients, show appreciation for them in two ways. Number one, for everything they are. And number two, for everything they could be. I want you to think of, I'm looking out my window as I speak to you into my garden, and there's a big oak tree, probably 200 years old, huge tree. That oak tree, it started life as an acorn, roughly, there's a whiteboard marker, roughly about the size of the head of that, an acorn. And from that acorn came the mighty oak tree. And when we are looking at our clients, we appreciate them for what they are, and we appreciate them for their ability to be and grow and expand and create, to be all that they can be. And finally, affection. And I don't mean the physical affection. I don't mean anything weird. When we are with our clients, we show total affection and care and compassion for them. Do you remember what I said at the beginning? The main criteria to be a good coach, you must really love people. And I'll tell you now, it is almost impossible for someone to sit down with another human being, eye to eye, and focus 100% attention on them, to show total and complete appreciation to them, not you, to them, if you don't really love people. And that is what we as coaches do. And that again is why coaching is growing like a typhoon, like a hurricane, like a tsunami around the world. It's growing like a tidal wave. I'm looking at the time, coming up to the end, so I'm finishing now, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to have a short 10-minute coffee break. But before I finish, is there any question you'd like me to answer? Anything at all? Anything on what we've covered or any other subject?
Yeah, Gerard, it's Tony here from Sofia. A very good, I particularly, having been on the corporate world for 30 years now and sort of escalated myself to quite a senior role, I've seen lots of these types of presentations, but the bit that I think is very relevant to the world we live in today is that last bit you talked about, the spiritual side, the fact that we've got so many other interferences, you know, what are the focuses? And you've got it there in front of you. And my question to you is, and you don't have to give a long answer, how have you adapted this approach over the years? I mean, you say you go back to the 1990s. I'm just curious to know how this has adapted. Is the mainstay of what you're presenting what you did in the early days, or is it 80-20, 70-30? I'm just curious in terms of the model.
That's a great question. And because a young boy like you wouldn't remember the 1990s, you're being a child like you are, but
flattering me.
No, the truth is it's changed a lot, Tony. Methods change, new techniques come out. The course that we deliver today, Practitioner Coach Diploma, is dramatically different to the one that we first started delivering in the year, let's say the year 2000. New methods, new models are being investigated, being experimented with, being created. In the world of psychology, we're coming up with new findings, which we incorporate within our course. We put our courses through a review every 18 months. And every time that happens, we take out bits, we add bits. So if we went back, oh my goodness, I don't have a figure for you, my friend, but I would say 80% of it is different, 70, 80% to what we did in 2000. Plus it's more. It used to be a 200, 220 hour course. Now it's 400 hours. So, yeah.
Like,
yeah,
for
thanks
example,
for the answer. Good answer, thanks.
Thank you.
For example, at the time when I studied, which was 12 years ago, for example, we didn't have the masterclass program, which is an integral part currently within our diploma course, as well as the certificate courses. And it's something that helps us to update our students, not just on a yearly, but on a monthly basis, because new things happen, new trends appear, or even new issues in the world appear. And on these masterclasses, we're able to talk about them and practice ways to approach them and help our clients through them. So it's a very much more hands-on approach, which is a big difference than the past, the way we delivered it.
One of the obvious ones, we added it's a module that people can decide to add on or not. It's to the course called the Child and Adolescent Coach Training.
Exactly.
Which is specifically aimed at coaches who would also like, once they've qualified, to work with children and adolescents. And I'm not sure if in Bulgaria this is the case, but in the United Kingdom and America and other countries, for the last 2-3 years, the topic of called mental health in children has been so prominent that we felt compelled about 18 months ago to create a special, we brought in top psychologists, we brought in people, and we've created special modules aimed at working with child aged 4 to 11, adolescents 12 to 18. So that didn't exist 18 months ago, Tony.
Yeah, and I know from my own experience, being at various conferences and stuff, being a Brit myself, Prince Harry brought it to the fore, let's say 5 to 10 years ago through the death of his mother and stuff. So, and I know footballers and sportsmen, I'm giving the same story here. Wherever the UK and America have, whether Bulgaria's got it here or not, this part of the world will get it. Yes. And particularly COVID, certainly in my organization, I've got 1,000 people working for me. I'm seeing mental health issues, looking at this square box in this square room.
Yes.
Not being in an environment engaging with human beings is creating that mental health. And as you say, that wasn't there a number of years ago.
No, it wasn't. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else, ladies and gentlemen, before I go and have a nice cup of tea?
Yeah, I have a question. I wanted to ask you, maybe very shortly, how did you decide to build this Noble Manhattan company? I'm very curious about that.
Okay. When I was a young man, I joined the military. I spent 9 years in what is called in the United Kingdom the Royal Marine Commando. So I was in the Royal Marines for 9 years. I then left. And I went into a completely different world, Sonia. I went into the world of insurance. And I started at the very bottom. What, if you understand the phrase, commission only, cold calling, selling insurance, with a company called FPS, Financial Planning Services. And then I built up, I left, I set up my own company. And that was Noble Manhattan Financial Services. And in 2003, I sold that to a company called Cornhill in the UK, which is part of a European group called Allianz. Allianz. I don't know if you've heard of Allianz or not. They're quite big. And I had over 1,000 people working for me, selling insurances, pensions, mortgages, savings, and all of that. So I sold it to them. I didn't particularly like the insurance world. I was okay at it, but what I loved about it was the personal development, helping men and women to build and grow, build their confidence, set goals, and so on. So when I sold all that in 1993, I started again on my own, working from my home, literally my back bedroom, as a self-employed individual personal development trainer. That was my love. And I was running courses on attitude, self-esteem, presentation skills, goal achievement, that type of thing. And in 1995, I had a stand at an exhibition in London, a place called Olympia. I don't know if you've heard of it. There was a show called the Vitality Show, a 3-day show. And I had paid to have a stand to market my personal development services. And on one of the days, I went for a walk just around the other stands, had a coffee, and there was a lecture going on in a room, completely by chance. As I walked past, a door opened, the fire door, shouldn't have opened, at the back of the room, and I heard an American voice, a lady talking, and I slipped in. Everyone else had paid to go in and listen to this talk. I slipped in the back, and it was a lady called Laura Berman Fortgang from New York in 1995, talking about this weird thing called life coaching. And it resonated with me. It just felt right. And I waited and waited. She finished. Everyone went up and spoke to her. I waited. They left. Eventually, she was on her own, packing up her bag, and I went and had a word. Now, there wasn't mobile phones in those days. She gave me her business card. I gave her mine. We communicated, and I ended up doing my training in America. I trained with Laura Berman Fortgang, a man called Thomas Leonard, and a lady called Cheryl Richardson. I did 3 separate courses over a 12 to 18 months period. And then back in the UK, in 1996, 97, I started to coach. And no one had ever heard of it back then. But that was it. I just felt, you have a bicycle wheel and you have all the spokes and the hub in the middle. And over the years, I had done training in Gestalt and NLP and transactional analysis and personal development. They're all good. But suddenly coaching felt like it was the hub in the middle, pulling it all together. And for me, it just felt like coming home. That's probably not a great answer, but that's what happened.
That was great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gerard, somebody asked how you named your company.
How did I name the company? I'm going to have to invent a story. Noble Manhattan. I'm going to have to. Right. The truth is, I started Noble Manhattan Financial Services. I sold that to Cornhill. I kept the name because I loved the name. And now it's Noble Manhattan Coaching. It started, my wife and I, when I started my financial services company decades ago. We sat with a pot of coffee at our kitchen table. I got a sheet of paper, drew some lines, and we started writing just words, lots and lots of words, and then joining them. And I wanted a name that sounded professional. I wanted it to sound expansive, not expensive, expansive. But it wasn't, of course, there was just me. When I started the business, there was me in my kitchen. But I wanted a name that sounded really professional and expansive. And when I linked Noble to Manhattan, it just felt right. I went with my gut instinct. Now, many years later, it stands for caring, professionalism, compassion. I'm going to have to invent a story. I'm going to have to say, one dark night, I was out for a walk and there was a flash of lightning or something like that. But the truth is...
but we know now.
You know now. Yeah, the truth is more mundane. Yeah. Any other questions, ladies and gentlemen? No, listen, it's been a pleasure, absolute pleasure. If any of you ever want to ask me anything direct, I'm on LinkedIn. I would definitely accept a connection request from you. I always respond within 24 hours to messages.